Right. One of the fundamental reasons I bought this machine was because it can be treadled, and I'm going to be adjusting. I'm going to use a metal lathe and then create a channel here so I can use proper leather bands, leather treadle bands. But really what I bought this for, aside from that, because I wanted a machine that could treadle, although at the moment I'm using it on its electrics, is because this particular model chain stitches. Now, some time ago I would really not have been able to tell you what the purpose of a chain stitch machine was. Maybe for decorative, but for sewing, because it's such a different type of stitch, it's not as strong in some ways as a lock stitch. I'm thinking, why would you want it? Although if you use tough thread, it's fine, but you just have to be careful that you ensure you lock the chains, otherwise it'll undo. But what I realized, and one of the reasons I ended up buying it because I wanted the chain stitch functionality, is when you're making toile for friends. So this is a dress, or will be a dress, but this is the toile for it. But once you make all the additions and changes, to take it back out and to adjust your pattern is a pain for unpicking. So what I found is a very easy way to do it is just use the chain stitch, and it's one rip and pulls out. So it saves a lot of time. So that's why today I'm going to be chain stitching on it. And you don't have to back stitch on a chain stitch machine. When you're doing it like this, you just go and stitch. So the interesting thing is, you'd think you'd have to go slower on a chain stitch, but you don't actually. So you can use full tilt if you want, and it stitches fine. But I'm not using very strong thread for this. I'm actually just using overlocker thread, and it works fine. So the secret, obviously, at the end for most people is how you get the chain stitch out. So the secret is to make sure that you pull the thread loose, you find the needle thread, and then you cut it. And then what happens is when you pull, it tightens the bottom, and it's fine. Won't undo really. And on we go to the next. So I quite like this machine. It's a bit whiny, but it's kind of fun in many respects. I've used the zigzag function and tested a few of the fancy stitches, but it's a 401 with a 411G badge on it, so it's fine. And we all know what stitches it does, but it works perfectly well. It's easy to use. It's very fast compared to a lot of the machines. Not as fast as an industrial, which I do like, and I prefer if you're using something you want really high speed. The brake on an industrial makes it a lot easier to use. It stops as soon as you lift your foot off the pedal. But this machine is more than capable of sewing most things. I've sewn leather on it, quite heavy duty cushion leather, but I'd be a bit concerned because though it's all metal, in here the actual transfer of the power from the motor to the gears it's plastic, but it's very strong. It's just, that's the only part which is subject to breakage, but it didn't seem to harm it at all when I did my leather work on it. It certainly works, sews very well. This machine has definitely seen a few uses before I got it a few months ago. The paint's gone on the front of the bed, but for me that is neither here nor there. Really is not important to me because, oops, I did that one right. That's the difficulty of a chain stitch. If you don't get that exactly right, it has the potential to undo. However, it is easy enough just to re-sew over it again. And then make sure you get the thread out properly this time. It takes a bit of practice, and as you can see, I'm really not perfect at it. You have to make sure you pull it out from the bottom, but sometimes it's sliding out, because if you have to slide it through the hole, then it works perfectly, but because I'm using cheap, thin thread, it does tend to break. So that's the back part. This is the front part. It's all much of a muchness now. It's just a matter of sewing.